Hey, it's Anthony Trucks. I just got off the Resilient Mind podcast with Eric Bounce. We talked about life. We talked about making identity shift. And we talked about how to get into a rhythm that'll change your entire future. So check it out.
Welcome, everybody, to the Resilient Minds podcast. I'm super grateful, humbled, and excited to be here with Mr. Anthony Trucks. What's going on, my brother?
Nothing much, man. How are you doing?
It's good to have you on the show, bro. It's been a few weeks since we talked last. I'm excited to have you, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, man. I'm ready to rock. I got my Oregon hoodie on today. We're in the groove, man.
Yeah, buddy. Let's rock it. So,
got sound effects too. We can rock and roll with that.
Oh, dude, we're all set. It's like we're on the field.
Yes,
I love it.
I all that. Yes.
And for those of you that don't know, Anthony's a former NFL player turned transformational identity shift coach. After he realized that he began taking the necessary steps to reprogram himself from the inside out, he spent years researching, practicing, and essentially rewiring his brain on a deep psychological level to achieve the necessary changes to become the person he wanted to be. Little by little, he started to put in the work, and after years of trial and error, he slowly became a well-oiled shift-making machine. I love it. Shifting into his ideal identity is the only way he has been able to achieve his success in his career, and it's also the reason why he was able to bounce back in his personal life, repair his marriage, and be the father that he always has wanted to be. Anthony became a speaker and a best-selling author to give back to those, successful or not, feeling stuck, uninspired, hopeless, because while he is beyond grateful for his journey, he wished he always had somebody to teach him all that he knows today. It's his passion and his life's mission today to pass along the knowledge that took him 30 plus years to learn. And on those who are struggling just like he has, he is here to coach people through the identity shift that they need to make in order to create the life that they deserve. So you guys, we're in for a treat today. We're in for a treat. Brother, tell me, how has this been, like, this experience of life that we're so grateful to have today? I always share of our biggest experience being our X factor and our Y factors being the Y that we're continuing to push, to persevere, to manifest in our lives. What was that switch for you, bro? What was that like? I'm sure there were so many defining moments, but one key defining moment that was like, oh, I need to wake up today and let's go and execute.
It was January 1st, 2016, actually. I've lived a very interesting life. Not from a stance of just I took trips and everything, but I've had a really up and down, traumatic childhood and losing a lot of people, a whole lot of weird stuff. And then it's crazy. I went from low to high to low to then back high again. And my second low, my third low, my third low before I got to the point of I'm on a trajectory now was January 1st, 2016. I was divorced. I was not a great dad. Business wasn't going very well. I was out of shape. I was broke. It was all this thing. And then at the same time, I'd figured I wanted a better life. My mom had passed away. I'd gone, I was in the middle of a funky divorce and all this weird stuff. And I woke up and I'd been doing the Playboy thing, you travel around and you have a bunch of different partners, and it's one of those things where it sounds good. It sounds cool because I was actually, I married my high school sweetheart, had 3 kids. We were together since 16 years old until 27, 28. And I was dialed in, but then when I got free, we'll call it, which wasn't even the free I kind of wanted to be, man, I got to this moment where now all of a sudden I'm navigating this world of being single, but I don't like being alone. And so I figured I'm gonna go ahead and just, meet a bunch of women and then dude, man, next thing I know, I'd gone to Russia. I'd met this woman. I was doing a presentation in Russia, and I'd come back and I invited her back. Couldn't speak English. We couldn't even communicate. It was Google Translate all the time. And you think yeah, look at me. I'm this guy. I got this Russian girl. But I woke up and it was January 1st. I went to the bathroom and I'll put it this way. And I say this because it just so you guys understand it, but not because I'm proud of this. But I remember I got a 20 pack of condoms and 3 days went through 16 of them. It was just this. That's all it was. It was all it was. And I woke up and I went and looked in the mirror and I had such a weight of shame. I was embarrassed, and I'm embarrassed at times to say, I was still a man of faith. I accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior when I was 18 years old. And I'd lived a really good life and this all broke apart and I just disappeared from it all, man. And I thought in my head, man, I would never want my daughter to ever be with a man like me. I'd never want my sons to emulate any part of who I am. My mom would pass away, would
Wow.
be turning like sick, knowing this is how I'm living my life, and my God wouldn't let me into heaven. And that was the pivotal point. Like, in leading up, I had a lot of moments of like kind of getting towards it, kind of getting to, like, because we make those small micro commitments. I want to do this and I want to do this. And, but like, I never really got to the point of getting, because there's an underlying issue I hadn't addressed. There's something that when we all have the same underlying issue, no one's really focusing on. So I try to mask it with books, and I try to mask it with go to this training and buy this course and go in this little group and do landmarking, right? I'm masking these things, I hit this head of like, why is it I'm doing all this work and nothing's making sense? I'm not making more money. I'm not being more joyful. I'm not getting in. None of it seems to work. And I got this weight of shame that finally became the catalyst. I was like, I gotta stop. I literally can't do that. I cannot keep living life in this direction right now, because I'm going towards an early grave, or I'm going towards an unhappy life forever. And that was the moment, man. It was that moment of like, I got to stop this. So I sent her home, not prematurely, obviously. I remember like, it was like, it was a weird last couple days. And I was like, and I kind of sent her home. And that was the beginning of the journey towards the Anthony you see now.
Beautiful, dude. And I think so many men can resonate with that. You know, like we have this ideology in our brain that of what it means to be free. Like you talked about free, right? Like because freedom, right? Like
Yeah, right.
it's fascinating how so many of us have this like thought process. And I remember like, going to Date with Destiny with Tony, and there's this moment where he says, everybody stands up, and all these men, they stand up, and it's like he turns on this Braveheart movie, and it's like freedom, and we all like start chanting freedom, right?
Yeah.
And I remember Tony saying at one point, it was like that's so many men's value, right? Like number one value is freedom, freedom, freedom.
Hmm.
And him saying that as soon as he realized that he was always free from within, that he was able to almost like hang that up in the Hall of Fame and say, listen, I'm always free. It's always within. If I love myself and I accept myself, this is the true freedom.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many men out there that we think in our minds that we need to be free from relationship, free from experience, free from having that, where it almost becomes like a dysfunction.
Yeah. That
And
is me.
and and I'm speaking for myself right now. I'm not speaking for all of them, but I definitely can say that it's become a dysfunction in my own world at times, of like this thought process of like freedom of relationship, or like, and then like you said, having these like people that you're meeting, or girls that you're connecting with, and then realizing that, hold on a second, there's something that's missing. There's
Yeah.
something that's missing.
Yeah.
So
Freedom. I mean, to be honest, my experience of that was not free. I am now
yeah.
remarried to my ex-wife. We were divorced for 3 years, custody battle, all that craziness, man. And there's
Wow.
a lot of things that happen in our relationship that we've overcome. Like, she had an affair. That's what part of our relationship fell apart. But she did, because I was not a present husband. I was gone 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. building a failing business, And like, so I get why she did it. Horrible choice. I don't take anything from that, nor do we. But we understand it took two people to get to that moment, right? So like,
Yeah.
and I thought I was free, right? But I wasn't free. I was confined internally to this. Like, now I'm trying to build this brand in my business, but I'm also have like, there's like a need for companionship. So I'm also chasing women and trying to court women and do. It was just, dude. I say all that to say I am more free now in a very locked, amazing marriage than I ever was prior to,
Yeah.
ever, because there's so many things off the table now. I don't have to worry about going out to bars and hanging out, right? In that capacity, I also have an acceptance from a human that lets me be free. So I know that I have a safe harbor. If I go and do something, I try something new, and the rest of the world says you suck, it's like, it's cool. The person, the people in my home who matter, like, I'm accepted here. So I can go and do stuff and know that I still got this back here. So I am more free now in a, we'll call it, confined relationship than I ever was prior to. And I mean, a lot of that comes of what I coach now, what came from the work I figured out internally as a human. But yeah, man, there is no freedom in freedom sometimes.
Right? What do you think? Why do you think that is, that we get so like connected to that experience of wanting to, grass is always greener on the other side?
Yeah, I don't know, because I think the world tells us we got to try and sample life, and I'm all for that. I think we do have to try, but I think the problem is people go out into the world and they're trying to find a way to sample life and experience it all and try it all, but they don't have a scale set for what that looks like. So what they have to do, unfortunately, is they have to adopt the world's scale. The world's scale
Mm.
sucks. There is no end to it. There is no beginning. It's all over the place. And so the moment you do accomplish one thing or do one thing that you thought was great, there is inevitably somebody who comes along and says, but you didn't do this, you didn't get here. So I'm always in a constant space of lack. And so what I found in my own life is like, well, yeah, you can go, you should go sample life, but like, know what a good life means to you. Know what you have as a scale. Like I literally tell people, go home. We have this exercise in our work that's like set your own scale. Go home privately, cut everything off, and sit there in your own heart, in your own head. Talk to one person max, and say, hey, I've created this vision of my life or what I want it to be that I think could be great. Can you expand this 1 inch out of comfort zone for me? And I mean 1 inch. Don't if someone wants to be a singer, don't say try to get a Grammy this year. It's like record your first album by yourself. Something that's 1 inch out of comfort. And then what you do is now you have your scale and you complete that thing. And then if you get there and you say, look, world, I made this, and somebody comes in and says, yeah, but you didn't do this, you can step in and go, I hear you, but look, I'm still happy because I did what I wanted to, man. I feel good here. I may set it higher, but like you can go take that somewhere else. But like I think a lot of people we get lost in the sauce, we'll call it, of life because there is so much to do, but it's never ending if I haven't set what is great for me so I can just feel good about what I accomplished.
That reminds me of like a component, and it becomes of like self acceptance first before you seek acceptance in like from others, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You look at it that way for sure, man. It's got to be a self, because if not, then you're trying to find I guess the fit that doesn't exist. It's super weird. And the thing is, people at the end of the day, they hear this and they won't do this. I'll tell them, set your own scale. They'll be like, I know what I want. But then the moment somebody says that's stupid or I don't like this, they shut down. That's the greatest fear for a lot of people to put anything into the world, even if it's not starting a business. It's like, hey, I want to,
Rejection.
yeah, I would feel rejected. And it's like, well, first off, who are you being rejected by is one thing no one thinks about. Just because
Yeah.
some guy with cat photos and weird pictures of odd paintings on his Facebook says he doesn't like your stuff doesn't mean it should matter, right? You should take that insight from people you respect. And then secondly, on top of that, it's like, why do you want that? Like if you are really clear on why you want it and it's cool for you to have it, then damn it, then want it and then have it. And then don't worry about anybody else saying anything negative. Like I care and also don't care what people say. If I'm being honest, I'm a human. I care what people say about me. I care what they think about me, right? But I also don't, right? And it's a matter of who I choose to actually carry weight with. And so, like, if somebody doesn't like my stuff because of something I have no control over, I truly just don't care. Like, this is Anthony. It's how I show up. And if you like it, cool. And if you don't, that's also cool. I still love you. Go hang out. And if you troll me and say things, that's totally cool. If you want to do that, it almost makes me laugh at this point because I'm like, dude, you're not going to get what you want out of this. And I'm not going to give it energy. And it doesn't matter to me. But at the
What
same
if it's
time, if I
somebody that
respect,
sorry, go ahead. No, sorry.
oh, yeah,
I didn't
go
mean
ahead.
to
Go.
interrupt.
I think I know you're going with it.
What if somebody that like means a lot to you?
Boom, right? Somebody I respect. Great question. If it's somebody that I respect, I may take it in and choose whether or not it matters, right? So if my
Yeah.
siblings or my dad or somebody said something, if I respect them, I respect them and I'll take it in. I'll settle with it. But here's the thing: I can't live life for somebody else. That's the
Yeah.
most draining thing in the world. So I do have certain people that I respect at a really high level. And if they say something, I take it. I'm like, yep, I got to do that. Right? Coaches, mentors, people I put in that position. But there are people I respect and care about their opinion, but also realize like, man, I can't live to your limitations. I love you, but I'm
Thank you.
making a
Yes.
choice based on that information that I'm going to live to my limitations or what may not exist. And if it doesn't make sense to you, that's so. My best friend in the world. I love my best friend. I've known for 30 plus years now, but I kid you not. When we talk about the life I live, it doesn't make sense to him. And that's okay. And I love him and he loves me. He doesn't talk bad about it, but he's like, it doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I'm like, it's cool, right? And I take his insight, but I also don't live from it. Like, I hear what you're saying, man. He's like, he tells me, dude, it's just not normal to do what you do. Yeah, I know, man. And it's cool. It's totally cool. It's not normal. I love you. Want to go to the barbecue this weekend? Like, what do I tell you? Like, I'm not going to go there. I just take with a grain of salt.
Yeah. And I think I read something that like really resonates with me about what you're sharing. And it says something about, and of course, this isn't verbatim because I don't remember the exact words, but basically saying, when people are perceiving you in their map of the world, that reflection, we can take it as ourselves, but we also need to understand what lens they're looking through and the clarity of that lens, because that lens may
Yeah.
not be clear either.
True. There was
And
oh, go ahead. Go. I'm gonna stop interrupting you because you're smart, man.
no,
Go
bro,
keep
you're
talking.
good. You're good. Keep going. I love the thought. Go ahead.
There was I think I saw this from TD Jakes. I think TD Jakes said this. I don't quote me. I'm gonna try to. He tells a story about having conversation with different people, and he says you got to think about this concept of a turtle and a giraffe. And he says a
Mm,
turtle, at the end of the day, they're going to report what they see from their perspective. Same location. The turtle is standing right next to the giraffe. They're going to say, I only see this right here. Giraffe says, I see all of this. And the turtle says, you're an idiot. What are you talking about? Giraffe says, no, I see all of this. And you're like, no, this is all there is. This is what you're talking about. Frustration, right? And then if the giraffe, physiologically, if a giraffe lowers its head down to try to see at the level of the turtle, it will black out because of the lack of oxygen and blood going to the brain. Black out, right? So like when people try to they try to minimize what I can see and I kind of come to their level, it frustrates me. And I'm like, I just don't. And then like you end up being like you knock yourself out. It's like you're trying so hard to come to their level, and also you can't pick them up, right? If they want to become
mm.
giraffes, they can. If they want to stay turtles, it's their prerogative, man. So that's where I kind of live, like in my space of like I'm a giraffe and I see this and I'm not going to come down to your level. And I love you. Hang out with me. We can all walk together, right? But like, I'm not going to fight to see your perspective.
That's beautiful, bro. And I've never heard it that way. But that element of like giraffe and turtle, it sheds such a beautiful light. And I think that so many of us, myself primarily, I'll say, is like, I think that um I see things that people think I'm crazy about. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I
you
get
have
it.
this vision, right? Like you see so much into the future.
Yeah.
And I remember just so many decisions being made based off of just true, like faith, just 100% faith in the universe, in my creator, and myself, and like just believing and knowing that I'll figure it out, I'll find a way, or I'll make one happen.
Yeah.
And I think
Agree.
that is where the magic really happens, is by being in a giraffe, because you see so much down the road. And I'm not saying that there's so many people out there that have the wrong perspectives. I have absolute compassion to different people's perspectives
Yeah.
and ways of seeing the world, and the feedback that I get, and choosing whether or not that we get to like look at that. But like I really noticed that before, where I would feel judged or insecure or unworthy, I
Mhm.
now like think about it in a way of, I'm compassionate to what your thought are, or your map of the world, or your perspective of me,
Yeah.
and I honor it.
Yeah. You do. That's all you can do, man. And I mean, to be honest, that's society. That's giving people what you want them to give you, right? Like if I want you to leave me alone and let me do what I do, it doesn't make sense. I can't therefore freak out on you because you don't think like me. I think it's a big problem in society nowadays. That everybody is expecting all of us to think the same when there's no way. Like my life experience, and me and you could sit down and agree on a million things, but I've never lived your life, your experience. There's so much outside of my understanding and awareness. I could never get in the same page as you. And if you're in opposition to me, I could love and respect that logically, but I just don't know, right? And then also social media nowadays, it shows you what you look at. So we could be sitting next to two different people that are in the same zone. I could sit next to my wife. I guarantee you, I am seeing probably 90% different stuff than she sees on her social media. So in this
Mm,
world where we're all trying to figure out, why don't you see that? It's like, man, why don't you just ease up a little bit on the fact that people don't see the world the way you do, and let them live
yeah.
their life, man. Like let them live their life and they'll let you live yours, but they're not going to give you the freedom to live yours if you're not giving it to them first.
Oh, it's so true. Yeah, so true, dude. Like I think that is, it's a fundamental blueprint of just like living um every day with the understanding that, how can I just give more, um not respect, respect's not the word that I'm looking for, more of like just, and I guess it just comes back down to compassion, to be honest with you.
I call it unity, man. I honestly, this is this realm of conversation where you have like unity and equality, and I think that all men are created equal, but not all men become or are equal. You know, men and women. There are certain aspects. There are women who are far more advanced than me and will be because they're ridiculous, amazing NASA pilots and work in government. Like that's, but we're created equal physically, right? But I don't think we are, and I think we're all trying to like shoot for equality. It's an odd thing for an African American man to say equality. I believe that I have equality if I believe I have equality. If I
Mhm.
let you make me think I don't have equality, then that's a problem with me, right? But what I do think we should have is a form of unity, because when we
Yeah.
unite, it's actually, in a sense, to unite is to bring together differences, to bring together oppositions, to bring together, right? So in bringing something together, there's things you bring on and some things you don't bring on. There's a gelling space between. And so it's like this whole idea of like, if we can find unity, I think it creates like more we think, in my opinion, would be equality. Because now I'm saying, like, I understand that you may not be equal and you might be above, you might be low, whatever it is, but where you're going to unite in some capacity, right? And in this unity, you find a peace. It's more of like an acceptance of where you're at, and mutually, you accept me, I accept you. It's a different kind of flow in my brain of how these things work. And I could be dead wrong, man. But for me, it's like I think that we need as a society more to lean towards trying to be able to unite more than to fight for this equality thing that who knows what that looks like. Because to be totally
What does that
honest,
even mean? Yeah.
yeah, what does it mean? How can you frame it up? I literally can't, I couldn't tell you what equality looks like. It'd be nice to be able to say this is what it looks like, but if I can't frame it, how do we aspire to something we can't frame or can't see? To say all people are equal, right? We're created equal, 100%. But I read and I work out, I take care of my body far more than other people I know. Am I supposed to sit here and say that that man's equal to me and that he should have what I have? Like, if he's not earning it and working for it and fighting for it, what makes me think that or him think he should have what I have, And then so because of that, there's this thing of we should be equal in equality, and there's an immediate level of like entitlement because we're created equal. I should have what you have. So that's the whole like we're people who don't have money. When I was broke, I was like, man, rich people should give back those who. But then I realized, like, oh wait, you know how hard it is to make money, to grow, to
Yeah.
learn, to push past. Do you know how hard that is? So for me to do that and sit back and say he should have what I have, like that old Anthony should not have what new Anthony has. He does. He's not. He
Yeah.
doesn't deserve it. He's not equal. He's built equal. He has the possibilities, capabilities, but dude is not the same dude.
And that's the constant and never ending improvement that we need to evolve into regularly.
Yeah.
I believe,
I-
is like having the audacity to step into this constant evolution. It's a lot of hard work. Like, you
Yeah, it
know,
is.
you like you said, 30 plus years you've been working on yourself. Saying, me, I would say the past 3 years I've been like really heavily working on myself. But before that, like decade ago, I wouldn't have even thought to have this conversation. You know what I mean? Like
Same.
this was
Hell yeah.
not even in my realm of possibility, right? Because it was just not even like I was not at that level of awareness. What do
I
you
agree.
think? What do you think that like our generation, like our kids and our kids' kids, really should be more focused in or more honed in on when it comes to creating this new level of awareness of like unification of really understanding another perspective and wholeheartedly accepting it, like
Yeah.
because I think that there's so much discord and these conversations that are happening of like I'm right or you're right, and really I believe personally that we're all doing the best we can with the knowledge that we have.
True. Yeah,
And
yeah, I think we should. I think that the kids, I think for me, man, my thing is perspectively. Like, I think that kids should be trying to live into a world different from their parents. Like, I got kids. I got a 16-year-old son. Just got his driver's license on Friday. Friday,
crazy.
Friday. I got
I
11-year-old
love it.
twins. They're going to be 12 by the end of the year. It's crazy, man. And I mean, there
Cool.
is that they're growing up. I think the one thing that as a parent I look at is they're growing up to be in a world far different than mine. I cannot prepare them for my world, or they will fail as much as I want to. I can prepare them for how to be better humans, how to be more compassionate. There's certain things that I have built into how I'm going to have my kids like have access to my trust. They're all about being good human, learning how to learn, giving back amazingly, being good stewards of money. But the reality is, it's like I can't sit back. I have this struggle. The whole idea of like tablets and electronic time. I sit back and we all tell our kids, don't bury your face in social media all day long. And yes, to an extent, but am I stunting the growth of them for the future that they need to be prepared for? Does their future, not my world, does their future need them to have certain skill sets that I'm stunting by never letting them be on these things in a certain capacity, right? And so I think there are some things of personal growth. Like as a human, there's always going to be humans. Therefore, I should learn to connect with human beings. That's one. Like learn to talk. My son,
Yeah.
if he goes somewhere like he can't talk to people online or like present himself, like you want me to give you a car, let you drive around the world outside and you can't talk to somebody, like this isn't going to be a good situation, right? So the idea is like that's part of it. But at the same time, like I'm looking at how am I giving them the tools to be prepared for their future that they will live in that I won't have any part of, because by the time they're in their future, I'm in my hangout. You know, I'm living my life hiring kids like them to do things to stay relevant. Like, you know, let this little 20-year-old run a social media account from India because I don't, you know, I'm 70 years old and I still got to talk and speak, but I don't know how this thing works. This VR, you know, it'll be a different world. And I think that from the things we're talking about, there are a ton of things I want to give my kids, but at the same time, I got to realize, we all as parents got to realize, I'm going to have to give them things or expose them to things that I know nothing about and trust that they'll be able to figure it out.
I think that that's so important, and it becomes about trusting them, but trusting yourself to trust them, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, as individuals, whether you're a parent or not, like even as entrepreneurs having a team, like we have to pass over that trust into the people that are alongside us, and I think that that becomes so powerful because that means that we end up trusting ourselves wholeheartedly in our decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And trusting the fact that we prepared them. Like it, seriously, yesterday was the first time my son, he got his license, drove out. My wife's like, we know we have this thing called what Life 360. I know where he's at all times, but it's still weird sending him out there. My wife's like, I don't know if I'm prepared for him to go out right now. I'm like, this dude's gonna go to college in about a year and a half. And you're telling me you don't want him to have full exposure without his parents in that world you're gonna send him out to? Like, dude, like you need to just let, like I'm telling her, like I didn't say dude to her. I might have. I say dude a lot. I have no idea why. I was like,
I
you gotta
love
let him go do his life. He's gotta go experience this thing. And we gotta trust that the last 16 years of loving on him and teaching him and all the things we did, that it shows up when it needs to. That's all we can do at this point. If I'm gonna be able to sleep at night, I gotta know that I know his heart, I know his capacity, his capabilities, and I know that he has the comfort to reach out when he needs us. But yeah, man, now it's like kick that damn bird out of the nest because I taught her how to, as best I could, prepare for the flight when it was falling to the ground, and hopefully it catches wings and takes off.
exactly. That's what they isn't that I think that's how the eagles learn how to fly.
Yeah, they kick him out of the nest, man. You got to. And I try to force him more than she's mom. She's talking about, well, when he goes to college, I'm still gonna be checking his grades online and know what he's doing. I'm like, dude, you gotta let this dude be. Like he's a good kid. And the problem is if he's always got crutches, he's not gonna learn how to run. Like you gotta take the crutches out. Let the dude stumble and fall. He's not gonna kill himself. Like let him figure it out. So he gets a bad grade, but he learns, right? You can't hover because at some point that crutch, even if it's an emotional thing he knows is there, it's going to hinder him from having the strength. When I was in college, we always had to tape our ankles. Like we played college football but at Oregon, and every single practice you had to have a wrap or tape, no matter what. If you came out without that, you were in trouble, right? Crazy thing is, like 100% of the time when a guy twisted an ankle, guess what he didn't do? Tape his
He didn't.
ankle, embrace it, right? Now, why did he get an ankle? Well, because he had the tape always supporting. The moment that was on just his muscles to stabilize, toward buzzing an ankle, right? So if we and so the thing is, if you continue to keep putting that brace there, the musculature for that area will never be created. It'll never be born to be able to hold itself. So when I got to the NFL, man, I never wore tape. Like in college, I did. I was like, I want to be able to have strong ankles. Now in games, well, I wore tape. In games, I spat it up. I made them stable because it's a lot of tackling and moving. But I wanted to make sure in practice and everything, I always had the muscle so that even if I did, have the tape I could still hang. I built the strength.
How long did you play for? What team?
I got hurt in my third year. I played for the Buccaneers, then the Redskins, and the Steelers. Bang, bang, bang. NFL stands for not for long, man. You bounce around and then you're out. But no, I tore my left shoulder in my third season. I'm getting surgery again here in like a month and a half to actually clean this shoulder up again because it's not fun. I got like a weird,
Good old
like here's my humerus. I got a bone
Buccaneers. They
surgery.
won. They won the Super
They
Bowl.
did. They did. I wasn't on the team. Would have been nice, but no, they did win. It was pretty cool to watch. I just wanted Tom Brady to win. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to see like this dude just destroy all aspects. It's very rare to have a modern day athlete become the greatest of all time. It's hard because you're playing against a storied past when the game was different. So for him to do what he's doing, man, it is incredibly cool to see and be part of because there, I mean, who else? I mean, think about Jordan. LeBron can't overtake Jordan. LeBron's as close as we can get to like one of the best ever, but he can't overtake Jordan. The numbers don't line up. You Wayne Gretzky, you got some guys, Sidney Crosby, which it's like, how are you going to overtake Gretzky? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's going to do that in football? We got a guy doing it. I mean, I don't know about soccer. How are you going to overtake Pele? You know what I'm saying? How are you going to do that? So it's
Yeah.
like it's cool to see somebody like legitimately outright like, dude is alive and he's the greatest of all time, and I get to watch it.
Yeah, man, he's amazing. And it was amazing to see like, Gronk back with him and
Yeah, that's cool.
connected with him. Like Gronk was on the show too, so he's become a good friend. We got to know
Oh,
each
really?
other. We
Oh, that's
got to
super
know each
cool. I
other.
had no idea. He's like a playful
Yeah,
dude. I like him.
he's
I like him
amazing.
because he's lighthearted in a very hard nosed, rigid, like what's the word I want? Rigid environment. Like that's what it is. It's a very alpha. He's playful, man. It is rarity to
Yeah,
see that kind of looseness. It's a confidence that people don't even know exists because it's a cutthroat game, man. And people are trying to get you every day. And so for him to be able to play like that and be light, that's why he's good. He's not tight. Like he's just got a good heart, man. I don't know him personally, but it's what I see from a distance.
yeah, brother. Like he's so lighthearted and loving, man. We went after date with Destiny. We went skydiving, and like the guy's
That's
just like
cool.
all. He's all.
That's
He's a
dope,
good
man. There you go. Good stuff.
brother. I wanted to ask you because, like, you've been on this shift making identity. Um, how you're really helping individuals really
Yeah.
step into shifting their own identities. Do you mind describing the process of what that looks like and
Yeah.
how that's been so important in building your legacy as you continue to contribute your gift to the world?
Yeah, man. The thing is for a lot of people, and this, I think we are in what I call an epidemic of shelf esteem, which means that I buy the book and it goes on the shelf in my house. And that's 90% of people. Then you have the 10% of people that take the book and they read it and it goes on the shelf of their mind. And then if you're lucky, I mean, you're like a 1 to 3%, they take it from the shelf of their mind into their life and they see it be realized. That's why we have the 1%, because they're just doing things different. And so what I realized is like the information on the shelf and in my head, it's the same information, right? So we're buying the same courses, we're going to the same events, we're buying the same books, we're investing in the same stuff. But why are certain people having success and some not? Why are some people who haven't bought that having success, right? I know people who are not intelligent at all, but make a great deal of money because there's a difference, right? And I was like, what is that? And I realized there's an underlying thing that most people aren't addressing. That underlying issue, it's really like the sickness, we'll call it. It's not the symptom. Everyone's addressing the symptoms up here. Here's a symptom. We're overworked, we're overwhelmed, we get burned out, we're disorganized, I'm get frustrated, whatever it might be. I can't make money, I can't get in shape, my relationships suck. These are all symptoms, and we try to address those. We grab one of these things here and we'll try to work on one of these things here, but we never actually deal with the base root. And so because of that, we keep having more symptoms. And the base root is where we get to that realm of identity, right? And it's actually what I call rhythm. And so when I work with people, my goal isn't to go in and teach you a strategy about your business. Dude, Eric, there are so many right now. I guarantee if me and you sat down, we could think of 50 together easily in the first 20 minutes of different strategies that all would probably work, right? But that's not the issue. It's who you are with them, right? It's the rhythm of your life. When I find people who are highly successful, it's not like a morning routine or an evening. There's a rhythm to their life. There's an in between, like the nooks and crannies of conscious, subconscious actions that just seem to, God, they got this tick to them that makes it seems easy. They look like they're having fun doing it. But if I try to do that, how do I get that? That's just so much, right? So when I go and work with people, I pull things back and say, let's take a look at your rhythm. Like, how do you handle your all the instruments of your life, your health, wealth, relationships, and hobbies? Like, how do these things all weave? Are you too much on the baseline of your career and you've taken no account of your health? And you've lost sight of your relationships, they've fallen apart, right? Or maybe you're too much into your health. You don't focus on your relationships, or your job falls apart. You're not growing in your career, right? So we take a look at the rhythm we have of life, and we find that some people have a phenomenal rhythm and some people's rhythm sucks. And the people whose
Yeah.
rhythm sucks, essentially, like they keep buying and trying things, but they can't seem to make it all work. It's like a good song, right? If me and you were listening to music and it's good music, I'll play that bad boy on repeat. I love it, right? And it's what people who have great lives have. They got this great rhythm of the tune. Those who don't, it's like I keep wanting to skip that song to the next day and the next day and the next project and the next opportunity, the next book and the next course, right? I keep switching and it's like I can't find the rhythm. It just doesn't feel like I'm in flow. But what happens is if once you get that rhythm and it's at a good tick, there's actually three kinds, man. There's random rhythm, which is all over the place, like raindrops. It's not a rhythm, but it's there, right? It's like I'm trying this and I'm doing this and I'm over here and I get burned out. I shut down. I promise I'm going to get this thing done next week and it never gets done. All these crazy things because the information's there, no rhythm. Then you have regular rhythm, which is the 9 to 5, the consistent flow. I do my thing, but it's never exciting. It's a dun 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 dun. Dun. It's just it goes. You're able to survive, but you ain't living. You know what I mean? And then you have what I believe you have and I have. It's this what I call progressive rhythm. It's dun 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 dun. It can go up, but the rhythm's still there, right? It's like it climbs and it builds, but I don't break the rhythm. I can still listen to it, right? The difference is there in terms of how people have success. When I look at people and I work with individuals, I'm not teaching new strategies because there's enough out there. I'm saying, how do we take a look at the rhythm you have? Is it random, regular? And then how do we look at making it progressive? Because when you can get to that flow, you can start adding things smooth. And then all of a sudden, yes, your rhythm is good and you increase that beats per minute, we'll call it. And then all of a sudden you're kicking stuff out at a high tick and it feels just as good as when you were chilling and doing nothing, right? Emotionally is easy. So people come along and go, bro, how did you do that? And you tell them, and you know what they say? That's crazy. How do you do so much in a day? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's easy. It's my rhythm. I progress to it. It's kind of like, you ever sort of like have a frog in a pot? You've heard about the story of the frog. If you put a frog in boiling water, it'll jump out immediately, right?
Yeah.
But if you put a frog in a cold pot of water and you turn it up and it heats up over time, the frog will boil to death. It gets normalized to every level. It's the same way when people try to buy a program from some guy or girl guru that says, I'm promise you this stuff if you do this thing. The strategies work, but if you try and jump into their world, it's too hot. You jump out. You can't do it. But if you learn in the background how to create a rhythm, you'll boil up to that temperature and handle it no problem. And so that's really when I take things back. I use something called a shift method, but it's all around resetting your rhythm. An identity shift, it's also for me synonymous with a rhythm reset. So when I'm going into people's lives and their work and their career and their goals, like we have things that we create and put in place from the follow, but really it's a matter of like how do we take all the projects that you have, all the goals you have, aspirations you have, and take all the little nuances and trickle it back to a very specific daily rhythm that you put in place. And once you get used to that rhythm, how do we progress it? And progress it farther and farther. And the more we do that with people and they have this simple thing they're doing, it's a matter of it's ratcheting up that beat per minute, little by little. And all of a sudden, over time, you've accomplished something amazing because of how we build it. At the same time, you also achieve something. And so if you think about it, you can't achieve without transforming. You have to achieve
Mhm.
something to feel like I've transformed. You also can't transform, or sorry, you can't you can't transform without achieving something, right? So I can't transform inside if I haven't achieved something. I can't achieve something without transforming into somebody new, right? I got to be somebody to achieve this. So it's like a duality, and that is the shift. That's your identity. When I'm achieving and transforming, now we can kind of shift into that. So over this time of setting a new rhythm, I now become this person because you always hear you become what you constantly do. So we put
Yeah.
this rhythm in place that's more than just habits, more than just routine. It's a matter of how I literally am living my day and I like get this thing climbed up. Do people wake up one day and go, I don't know when, but I became a badass. Like I'm a monster. Like it just, I don't know when. It wasn't like I can't put a time stamp to it, but I'm just dope right now. That it's all a matter of what they put in place and learned how to navigate through to build into that level.
This is something you touched on duality, and I just wanted to emphasize it for a sec because it sounds to me and what I'm hearing is like this is so important when you are progressing to that level of progressive rhythm,
Yeah.
that you become so centered in who you are that you are now just vibrating at this level of
Yeah.
frequency or rhythm that allows you to turn the conscious decisions that you're regularly making to a subconscious, like in your body, where now you're just regularly honing in on all of the things that you want to accomplish or achieve or do
Yeah.
without wasting time.
Yeah. It's who you are now. Because the thing is, whenever you're able to just deal with, like, I like the vibration, when it's who you are now, it just happens. And imagine if all the things that you know you need to do to move the needle in your life, they just happen, what I call effortless effort. Like,
Mhm.
that's the key. This is what I did when I was at January of 2016, when I woke up and I was like, I got to figure this out. This is what I did. I had already spent years with strategies and things. I took a look at all the successful people. I was like, what are they doing? And I looked at their life and I was like, oh, they always would say this thing. Someone would say, who were you back when you were unsuccessful? And they'd always do this. I don't know. I was somebody else back then. I was like, oh, that's mean. That means something. Everybody's saying this. Like, what does that look like? And that's where I started like looking at identity. And it's like, oh, they kind of got a different tick, man, a different rhythm. And when I can tune into what that is and then create that, like that's how I climbed out. That's how I was able to get my wife back. I was able to fix the parenting relationship. I built the business up. I got in better shape. And now it's part of my life where people go, I could barely touch that, Anthony. Yeah, you couldn't right now, but you could if you learn how to reset your rhythm and then build it into this level. Anybody can. But if you don't address this root cause, you're going to continue to keep experiencing the same symptoms you run into now.
And when you say, and just for anybody listening, when it comes to a root cause, can you give an example of like what a root cause could be?
Yeah. So root cause could be, for example, how I may see opposition, right? There's a root way that I may immediately deal with it, right? So at the symptom level, I see opposition. I say, oh, the opposition is that my wife is just, she doesn't get me. So we're going to fight and bicker over and over. I'm going to get a therapist. We're going to sit there in the room and we're going to argue about stuff all day long, all these things, right? But if I go to the root like I did and I said, okay, I blame for a lot of years my wife on ruining the marriage. How dare you step out on me? How could you do this? When I went to the root and realized, oh, wait, man, as a human being, I was a horrible husband, man. I was gone from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. when she had a 4-year-old and brand newborn twins trying to build this dream for me, right? I wasn't serving her. She was actually going out to fulfill her needs, not trying to maliciously attack me. Dang. All right. So if I want any relationship to work again, I can't be that guy because when I blame her, I don't work on me. So my root issue was the identity that I attached myself to as a husband is vastly different than who I attach myself to as a husband now. What matters, what
Wow.
doesn't matter, where I spend my free time. So if we don't address these root issues and look at certain areas, then hell yeah, man, you're going to keep living that same symptom over and over. It's why people get into new relationships with a person with a different name. Same kind of
Yeah.
person, different name. Susan did. All women suck. All men suck. Do they? But do they? Like, are you choosing the wrong person, which is part of your identity too? Because you'll the barometer of how you hold your self worth is reflected in the person you choose to be a primary partner. If I choose somebody low, it's where I hold my self worth. Right? It's an identity thing. And also, if I can't figure out how to make any relationship work, if I'm the common denominator in all my problems, I might want to look at the common denominator.
Yeah, no kidding. That's such a powerful concept because yeah, I haven't had successful relationships, and guess who's the common denominator, right? Like,
Right? You always are, dude.
so it, it's like I'm in that process of like evolving. So, bro, I want to like respect the time. I know that I could talk for you forever, but I'm really enjoying this. But I have, first and foremost, like if somebody wants to like connect with you, get to
Yeah.
know more about how they can work with you, what's the best way to connect? Reach out to you, see, get more information.
Yeah, yeah. First thing people do is go to trucksteam.com. My team, my shift strategists, they're amazing people who walk people through how this method works. We have something called Rhythm Reset Technology. We have a full curriculum, a ton of support. I call my Canopy coverage support system. So if people want to work with us, we do a phenomenal job of helping deconstruct all of this and putting it into a very simple daily practice that you do that becomes a new rhythm. But yeah, go to trucksteam.com. My team will hop on a phone with you for free.
Amazing. Beautiful. Thank you, brother. And last question before we go.
Yeah.
If you had 3 days left to live, brother, what would you do?
Yeah. Oh, 3 days, I would carve an entire 2 days out for my family. And I would carve one day, the first day, to talk to the world. I would spend the entire day finding a way to make sure I could plant my message in many places as possible. The last 2 days would just be the people that matter most to me, man, those who live in my house.
Beauty, brother. I really appreciate you taking the time coming out, and like it was amazing to connect. We got to do this again and
You
schedule a
got to,
little bit
man.
more
Count me in.
time.
You got to get on my podcast, and I'll come hang out with you again in the future, bro. Count me in.
Yeah, bro. I can't wait. It'll be great. It'll be great.
Cool.
It'll be a lot of fun, man. It was amazing. I hope you're doing amazing. Give the best to your family, bro.
Thank you.
And
Thank
any final words you want to share?
No, man. Got there, make shift happen, people. Make shift happen. That's what I'm all about, man. Making cool, crazy things happen in life.
Amazing, brother. Talk to you soon, bro.
All right, later.